Oh, don't worry about Craig overloading Peter. It is you I am concerned about. Stay strong. Annika needs you now more than ever. First things first. Your family. Don't worry, it will be okay with the Jackpine Grove. We always muddle along. But, tell me how Jyoti's advice for Annika works out. I might need it myself soon.
Sarah, what do you mean?
It is about time for me to tell my parents that I am a druid. And that is not going to be easy for me either. Coming out of the so-called broom closet. Religion is seen entirely as a personal choice.
I see. I should get home before Annika returns. Sarah, be good. You're a sweetie?
Wait, I have an hour before my shift starts at Moonbucks. Why don't I treat you to a double-shot chocolate frappuccino? You could use one.
How can I say no?
Well, we'll work on that problem too. I can say no in 15 languages, but you only need 1 or 2 ways right now. Gets easier with practice.
All right, then I will teach you how to say the word yes.
It's a deal. Let's go.
If Celtic materials are not so important for following Reformed Druidism, why didn't you tell me about that before I spent 10 days in the library reading about the Celts?
You didn't ask me if it was important. You only asked me to guide you, which I did. I led you to a lovely place. A mentor-student bond is a sacred obligation to me. It is my job to assist you. And as a bard, I must pass on traditions. Yes, my duties are wearisome, but people need me. Especially Sarah. Yes. Not to worry, if nothing else, you have learned another valuable lesson on searching more wisely. Do you regret the use of your time?
No, not really. That window you opened on a past is too haunting to close and forget.
You appreciated it?
Yes, but to be honest, the whole Celtic angle is simply not what is drawing me to the Druids.
No, I didn't think it was. We, the devout custodians of the tradition, are sadly few in number, even amongst modern Druids. I am also sure the founders searched little beyond a few weeks of reading. Their goal had always been overturning the mandatory religious attendance requirement. It is basically the creation myth for the RDNA, its origin story and cornerstone identity. But amusingly, a lot of projects begin with one anticipated result and end with another. Reformed Druidism continued on, even when the protest had been won in 1964, and then propagated beyond Carleton with each graduating class of students. From my readings, each year brought a little less humor and a little bit more solemnity. And like you, the allure of the Celts couldn't be wholly ignored. One of them, Brother Robert Larson, went into deeper study of the Irish. His Berkeley University Grove in 1968 was the first true Celtic-themed grove in the United States. And when neo-paganism erupted in California, the alignment of the stars was complete, and neo-Druidism began. How beautiful that moment must have been.
Yet, the RDNA itself didn't go deeply into the Celts.
Not to be bitter, but the Celts seemed more like a bit of cherished window dressing with those RDNA Druids, a pale shadow. However, some groves went deeper. Yet, Despite all the diversity and eclectic tendencies for all Reformed Druids, the Celts have deservedly always had enjoyed a certain pride of place, as first among the sources that were usually drawn upon. Sadly, this is probably due to the plentiful availability of material in the English language on the Irish and Welsh cultures, rather than true dedication to the beautiful cause. Not like in other Druid groups or the Reconstructionist movements.
So why did you promote the Celts so hard to me?
We all have a pathway into Druidism's forest. And this is the way that I am content with. If I tried to talk freedom, ecology, or celebration, my words would have fallen false on your ears. Besides, you are now empowered in ways most Reformed Druids are not.
Do you mean? In a magical way?
No, in an informed way. Like it or not. If you call yourself a Druid, people will naturally ask you about Druids, whether they be Christian or pagan. The world was not a warm and cuddly place 2,000 years ago, and all religions have done things they are not proud of, or should not be proud of. If you cannot even field or counter some basic questions and misperceptions on the golden age of Druids, you'll look like an idiot rather quickly. I say, if you are going to flaunt the term Reformed Druid, then you better well know what you are in opposition to. The orthodoxy, the ancient. It will better define yourself, in effect, by knowing what you are not. I see it like how an informed Protestant must understand the Catholic history. It clarifies many things, and why they are such and such way, and not other ways.
That makes some sense, I suppose. They told me that we don't follow some practices of the ancient Druids because we are in a modern age.
Yes, but that really hides a lot of issues. While I love the ancient Druids, one must admit that if they had continued to the 21st century, they would likely have continued to change a little with the society that made them. As Andrea can tell you, modern Hinduism is not really the same as the Hinduism of 2,000 years ago, nor has Christianity stood still. Druidism matters today. But one must not throw out the baby with the bathwater.
The presentation is ready for you, Jody. See you at Lunasa. Ta-ta.
Wanda, thank you for setting up the Grove's visual presentation slides. Come in. Andrea, good to see you.
I'm glad we have a chance to talk about some of the continuity problems for the Jackpine Grove before the Lunasa Festival and elections. PowerPoint is ready?
Yes. Is Sarah coming?
No, she called. Couldn't make it. Thomas too, again.
Something wrong with you also, today?
No. I'm just tired. Let's get started then.
Alrighty, here we go. Page 1. Who we are.
So I learned all this knowledge in order to not follow it.
Not entirely, young disciple. Now that you have an inkling of how one vibrant non-monotheist religious system once operated, you have new growth models available as you pursue Druidism. Certainly, you are aware of more resources to draw upon. A wealth of stories, legends, and customs to enrich on your services. Perhaps you'll even assist a few Celtic-oriented Druids yourself soon? Great things await you on that path.
Craig, I'm still a bit overwhelmed. Let's slow down and review. Can you explain which Celtic elements are commonplace in the Reform?
Well, from my understanding of our Reformed literature, this grove's wild antics, and what I've overheard from other groves and the social media, the carryovers fall principally into three areas. First, the external trappings, of which the foremost legacy is the name Druid, which by itself will attract people attuned to Celtic matters. They also adopted terms like grove for a group of Druids, Archdruid for a leader of Druids, the waters of life using whiskey rather than wine for sacramental use, and tools like the sickle for cutting the plant sacrifice, chalices and cauldrons, and wearing white robes.
Yes, that much I have seen in pop culture references, and the cartoon series, Asterix.
Yes. Secondly, there are structural borrowings like a predilection for grand oral finesse, 3 levels of Druid, and an inherent Celtic preference for dysfunctional fractured hierarchies. An exceptional love of learning. A long period of mentorship with oral traditions. And they retained the rebellious and romantic mystique of the Druid as a spokesman for the people and the land.
Yes, those do seem to be the cherished image roles in the RDNA.
Finally, and thirdly, there are liturgical borrowings, like a fondness for outdoor worship near oak trees and large rocks, the light and dark halves of the year, a sacrifice upon altars, some augury at services, meditation and the use of instructional stories, the frequent use of fires, maintaining sacred wooded sites, and very importantly, marking the 8 seasonal festivals that are mostly based on Celtic precedents.
Yes, Sarah mentioned some of those too.
Some groves go further. However, it is a mere skeleton of the ancient masterpiece, but serviceable for novices. Naturally, the RDNA borrowed a thing or two from the Episcopalians, the fraternal groups, Zen and the Quakers, early on. It wasn't just the Celts.
Seems rather complicated already. Was there anything obvious they didn't use?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. I don't have enough time to tackle that now. Why don't we cover that in August? I'm sorry, but I need to do a report soon. I think all the folklore and details will start to fall into place if you read these Reconstructionist books first.
All right, sure.
However, to round out an appreciation of Reformed Druidism, I think it is only fair to say you need to talk with my roommate Dan, and perhaps then with Thomas. I think you can usually find Dan deep in the Arboretum woods on most afternoons this summer, working with the campus grounds crew on their reforestation project. Dan is upset that so many old trees in the spooky woods in our Arboretum have been suddenly withering lately.
I'll see them both this week. Thanks, again. Bye.
There it is. Yes, hello?
Craig, the rock of the coming new Druid order.
Master.
Give me your report on Peter.
There is hope yet, he may still join our ways.
The facilities are complete. We can now initiate Phase 2.
As ever, your most talented and humble servant. It will all come to pass, as it was foretold, and this time the Jackpine Grove will not stand in our way.